Hello and welcome back to another episode of Commentary Tomaso. So I did a quick unboxing video of the Gold Razr last week, and after 5 days of daily usage, here are some thoughts I gathered from my interaction with the phone, and I would like to share them with you. So there are three things I would like to talk about today. The first thing is the creaky hinge. Is it so bad as people say it is? And the second thing is the performance, how fast it is, does it lag in terms of daily usage? And the third part is the battery life, is it adequate? So elephant in the room, of course, it's the creaky hinge. People say it's terribly sounding, it's embarrassing, but here's how it sounds like. And I have a recorder right over here, and I would like you to hear for yourself. So I'm going to put the Razr really close to the recorder. So that is the sound of the flipping of the Razr's hinge. And there's definitely a sound, but I wouldn't say it's so terribly sounding. I've been flipping this thing open and close for a couple hundred times right now, so I don't think the sound is disturbing by any measure actually. And actually this sound reminds me of the existence of this wonderfully designed hinge. Every time I flip it open, and it asks me every time, thinking all those elements going into this hinge, the gears, the metal plates that's keeping the screen flat when it's opened. And speaking about the hinge sound, a lot of people just want to compare the hinge to the older Razrs, which I happen to have one. Right over here is the V9 from 2007, 2008. So the screen is busted, but the hinge is intact. So let's hear how does this hinge sound like. And again, there is the tape recorder. And I'm going to do this one hand. The proper flipping. So, as you can hear, the sound is almost silent besides the slapping of the two parts. But does it mean that this hinge is way better than the new one? I don't think so. I don't think it's fair to compare the two, because the two hinges, they serve just so different functionalities. For the V9 and also for the V8 and V3, the original Razr, the hinge is a structural part of the phone, and it shoulders the role of just connecting the two halves, while also running some electrical cables in there, of course. But for the new Razr, it is, first of all, it's like much thinner for the hinge, and also it's serving the functionality of like supporting this flexible screen. It's just so different in terms of their functionality, and I don't think it's fair to compare the two purely for their sound qualities. And honestly, I don't think the sound is disturbing, truly. For the early adopters who spend $1,500 on this thing, some of them might come with the expectation that this thing should sound absolutely perfect, like their boring glass sandwich slap, which doesn't make any sound, obviously. But I think for me, I think this is marvelous technology, and marvelous technology, especially newer technologies, they have all kinds of problems, and these problems can only be worked out after many iterations. To me, it's not disturbing. It's a demonstration or even a expression of the advancement in the smartphone world, and I think it's a wonderful thing to have. But of course, the sound is really subjective. Doesn't bother me a lot. Might bother some people, and it's up for you to decide. The second thing I want to talk about is the speed of the processing unit. For the Razr, it uses a 710 CPU. Definitely not the speediest processor out there, but I think for daily tasking, it's fully adequate. I use it for a lot of web surfing and also emailing. I don't do any games on this phone, so for those purposes I use this phone is definitely adequate. I came off from this 5C, which is hilariously archaic, but I love the design. I love the yellow polycarbonate shell. But this thing, the 5C, is a little bit lagging in terms of speed, obviously. So I'm going to do a quick speed test by comparing a typical usage pattern, which is playing YouTube videos through your website, through your web browser. So I'm opening up to the same unboxing video I made for the Razr, and I'm going to quit both browsers. Let's do it on the iPhone first, and then do it on the Razr. Oh, I want to just clear it out of the memory. And I'm going to launch the two browsers side by side, and you can see how fast the new Razr loads the web page. Boom, here we go. And Razr is done, and it's now playing, and 5C is just finished. So the point of this not very scientific comparison is that to show you the Razr does not lag by any measure. Like, you can just jump back and forth in terms of multiple videos, and it'll keep up really nicely. So that is the performance aspect of the Razr. And the third thing I want to talk about is the battery life. So this one is powered by a 2510 milliamp hour battery, and it's separated into two parts of the phone. However, unlike the Galaxy Z Flip, which can house quite a large battery in the upper half, the Razr, because of its large screen cutout for the external display, sacrifices some room of the battery for the display, which is not necessarily a bad thing because the external display is awesome. However, some real usage number for some tasks people use on a daily basis. Here are some numbers I want to share with you. So on one particular morning, I began charging the phone at 8:52 and stopped charging the phone at 9 a.m. So 8 minutes of charging, I got from 42% to 53% in battery juice level. So that's 11% growth in 8 minutes, and that's more than 1% per minute, which I think is a great charging speed, by the way, using the included turbocharger, the 15-watt turbocharger. And after I unplugged it at 53%, I did a 10-minute Zoom call. So video on for everybody and audio on for everybody. And the 10 minutes of Zoom call reduced the battery from 53% to 49%, which I think is impressive because Zoom call is very demanding in terms of processing power, and the Android version of Zoom is by no means the most optimized one. And then right after the Zoom call, I did another 10 minutes browsing task, and that one reduces the battery from 49% to 47%. So I think the battery life in actual performances is fairly respectable, and I typically charge the phone in the morning. After I wake up, I charge it for about like an hour, and it hits 100% really quickly, and then for the rest of the day, it just coasts along so nicely. I never worry about using the phone at around evening without battery. Well, even though I'm staying at home for most of the day, I still don't have the battery anxiety. So I think for most people, the 2510 milliamp hour battery is fairly adequate. So people don't have to worry about the performance, and people don't have to worry about the battery life. And also, this morning, Motorola released the Android 10 update to the Razr. So right now, there is the system-wide dark mode, which I think is wonderful. Previously, in Android 9, which is shipped with this phone, I have to manually set the dark theme for each app, which is a hassle. But right now, it's system-wide, and everything is dark. It's beautiful, and it really leverages the OLED display to conserve the battery life. And the Android 10 update also brings a lot more usability for the front display. So in Android 9, I can do some basic interaction with the notifications, like deleting the message, deleting the email, or like responding to messages using canned reply, which I think is okay, but very limiting. However, with the Android 10 update, I can do a lot more. So for this message, I can tap reply, and then there's this full keyboard, which is fairly functional, and I can type like "Hi Tom," not Gom, Tom. Here we go, and I can do like exclamation mark. I can even type in some emojis here and there, like haha, and send it along, and it's off on its way. And I can just do a lot more with it, with the notifications on the external display now. And if I do a swipe right, I can go to my favorite contacts, and I can even just get the dial pad out here and begin dialing numbers and make a call without even opening the display. And before in the Android 9 version, to open up the camera from the external display, you have to flick your wrist twice, like that. And right now it still does it, but a better way would be to just swipe from left to right on the screen. And boom, there you have it, the camera. And also right now you can access all the camera modes directly from the external displays. Previously you have to use the main display to see all those modes. The tap anywhere to capture is still there, and also using the volume rocker to capture is still there. So truly convenient. So that concludes my initial thoughts after 5 days of use with the Motorola Razr. I think that will cap my initial series of video about the Razr on this channel. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about a more broad array of topics. And of course, there will be some technological reviews. But stay tuned for more interesting videos. And if you have any questions regarding this little guy, just let me know, and I can make new videos to respond to your questions. But this thing, I want to introduce Mr. Gudetama, and this is a really popular Japanese anime, and Rolling, my girlfriend, she felt this one yesterday. It's just so cute, and this is an egg, scrambled egg, a fried egg, sunny side up, I believe. And there's a toast over here, and piece of lettuce and ham and some sriracha mayo, and she's talented. I tried to make one of these before and it didn't end up so nicely. Well, anyway, that's this video. Stay healthy, stay home, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.